professionals. Nope, we are mapping out the entire mechanical engineering career ladder by following one single product, all the way from its very first blueprint straight to the business boardroom. So, to truly understand this career ladder, we have to start by asking a pretty fundamental question. How does a simple, abstract concept transform into a massive working machine? I mean, it doesn't just magically poof onto a factory floor, right? Building a machine is, well, it's a lot like a high-stakes relay race. It requires this whole sequence of highly specialized professionals. Each person takes total ownership of a specific phase. They answer a distinct set of questions, and then, boom, they pass the baton to the next expert in line. To make this super concrete for us, we're going to follow the complete end-to-end life cycle of one specific project. So, imagine this. A customer comes to our engineering firm with a really clear but very basic requirement. They just say, hey, we need a machine to transport 100-kilogram boxes on a conveyor belt. And that's it. That's literally all we have to start with. Let's see exactly who takes that one simple sentence and actually turns it into physical steel and spinning motors.
Okay, let's kick things off with Phase 1, Design, shaping the product. This is where our conveyor belt takes its very first digital breath.
What should the product look like and how should it function? Now, this is the primary question for the mechanical designer. This is someone who typically brings about 3 to 7 years of experience to the table, and at this point in their career, their responsibility shifts away from just, updating existing drawings to the, frankly, kind of terrifying task of creating a product totally from scratch. They take that raw customer requirement we just talked about and start visualizing the physical solution in 3 dimensions. The designer actually brings this concept to life in a 3D CAD model by making these specific foundational decisions. Making that huge leap from pure imagination to digital reality means they aren't just sketching. They're doing heavy-duty 3D modeling, assembly design, and motion studies. They have to decide exactly how wide the belt needs to be to hold that 100-kilogram box, where the motor sits, and how the sheet metal and weldments all fit together. So because of the mechanical designer, the conveyor now officially exists, at least digitally.
But wait, once that initial design is done, the senior designer steps in. Bringing roughly 6 to 10 years of experience, their job isn't to create the base model. No, their job is to ask, can this product be optimized? Can it be lighter, stronger, cheaper? Or, hey, maybe just a lot easier to actually manufacture and assemble out on the floor?
Just look at the massive difference that kind of optimization makes here. In our conveyor example, that original design weighed in at 520 kilograms. But by tweaking the frame profile, adjusting the sheet thickness, and maybe changing the roller spacing, the senior designer manages to drop the total weight to 430 kilograms. That is a massive 90-kilogram reduction. They are literally slashing material costs while maintaining the exact same strength. Pretty incredible, right?
With the shape fully optimized, we enter Section 2, Engineering, verifying the math. Because, let's be real, a beautiful design is totally useless if it just collapses under pressure.
Enter the design engineer, typically rocking 5 to 10 years of experience. Their job? Validate the physics. Let's assume our customer suddenly mentions this newly designed conveyor needs to handle a continuous, massive load of 1,000 kilograms per hour. Yikes! The design engineer is the exact person who guarantees that the machine won't just buckle under that kind of intense stress. Using some seriously advanced simulation software, think SolidWorks Simulation or ANSYS, they meticulously work through these analytical steps. They're calculating the required motor power, determining the torque, sizing the shaft diameter, verifying bearing life, and running fatigue analysis. Basically, they figure out the exact factor of safety, which is really just a fancy way of saying how much stronger is the machine that it strictly needs to be to prevent a total disaster. Only after running these rigorous, hardcore calculations do they finally give the green light. Or they might have to tell the team, hey guys, we absolutely need to increase the shaft diameter before this thing is safe.
But let's look at a nightmare scenario for literally any engineering firm.
What happens if, a few months later, the customer calls and reports that the conveyor frame is cracking out in the field? Ouch. This is a highly complex problem that goes way beyond your basic daily calculations.
This brings in the senior design engineer. We're talking an expert with 8 to 15 years in the field. They use this exact 5-step sequence to solve those really complex field problems. They go out and perform a physical inspection of the failure, run advanced simulations, conduct a deep root cause analysis, and finally implement a design improvement for a brand new version. Their ultimate absolute goal: ensure this specific failure never, ever happens again.
All right, so once the math is completely perfect, we move to step 3, drafting, creating the blueprints. Our fully validated digital model now has to be translated into a language the actual factory floor can understand.
This introduces the drafter, a professional usually with 1 to 4 years of experience. Here's the thing. The shop floor cannot build a machine just by staring at a cool spinning 3D model on a computer monitor. They need hard, tangible numbers. So the drafter's job is to convert those complex 3D designs into flat, production-ready 2D drawings.
The manufacturing team relies entirely on these specific details. The drafter is in there creating detailed part drawings, assembly drawings, sheet metal flats, and including all the geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. We usually call that GD&T. And GD&T is basically the strict rulebook defining exactly how much wiggle room the manufacturer is actually allowed to have. Because of the drafter, the fabricator knows exactly what size drill bit to use for a hole, how long a weld should be, and exactly what materials to pull from inventory using the bill of materials.
So, an absolutely crucial takeaway here is understanding this pivot in the workflow. Designers invent the machine itself, the shapes, the functions, the physical layout, but drafters invent the instructions to build it. Without the drafter, the designer's brilliant 3D model is really just a ghost trapped inside a computer screen.
Of course, we're all human, and humans make mistakes. To prevent a junior drafter from, say, forgetting a critical welding symbol, or messing up a hole tolerance, or missing a surface finish note, the senior drafter acts as the ultimate strict quality control gateway. Armed with 4 to 7 years of experience, they review the GD&T, verify dimensions, ensure company standards are met, and mentor the junior team before a single drawing ever makes it to production.
Now we reach the final stage, Phase 4, leadership, managing the chaos. As we move higher up the ladder, we leave the individual CAD files and structural calculations behind, and we scale way up to managing entire teams and broader business objectives.
The lead engineer, boasting anywhere from 10 to 18 years of experience, basically stops designing parts and starts coordinating people. They handle the technical reviews, resource allocation, and customer meetings. They have to make sure the mechanical designers, the electrical team, the automation specialists, and the manufacturing floor are all perfectly synced up on the schedule. You can think of them as the technical conductors of this massive mechanical orchestra.
Finally, at 15+ years of experience, the engineering manager steps in. Now at this stage, hands-on technical work decreases significantly, and high-stakes business management really takes over. Their primary tool is no longer CAD software, guys. It's spreadsheets, calendars, and risk matrices. They're handling hiring, budget planning, intense customer negotiation, risk management, and profit analysis.
Just look at the massive scope we're dealing with now. They aren't looking at a single conveyor belt anymore, not even close. If the customer suddenly wants 100 conveyors delivered in 90 days, the engineering manager is the one figuring out if they need to outsource parts, how many engineers to assign, and how to actually hit their profit targets. They are orchestrating a multi-million-dollar factory rollout, constantly balancing customer satisfaction directly against the company's bottom line.
So let's zoom out to the big picture and see how this all builds together. Every single role we discussed today, from the drafter meticulously placing a welding symbol to the design engineer calculating torque, all the way up to the engineering manager approving a massive budget. Every single one is a vital link in this continuous, unbroken chain of product development.
Without even one of them, the whole system just completely breaks down. So, as you look at this incredibly structured ladder, I want you to think about your own journey for a second. Whether your passion lies in doing the heavy math, maybe inventing totally new physical shapes, ensuring manufacturing quality, or, hey, maybe you love managing the chaos of a massive team. Where do you see yourself fitting into this life cycle? What specific problem are you most excited to solve? Keep that in mind as you map out your very own career. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.